If only we had the ability to turn back time.
I've already done that.
It was the afternoon of the third day.
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
What? You lie.
Chief Gant?
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence.
I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it.
What are you talking about, Chief Gant?
Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice something odd about the chest area?
It looked like part of it's been cut off for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the Chief of Police, concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean to admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene on that day. Then it occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her?
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that was when she saw the scene. She would ask for my aid.
It was all one sentence. I know, it's confusing. So you assisted Miss Skye?
I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room.
And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted.
When we rearranged the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. I did this before Lana arrived at the scene.
2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why?
For insurance, of course.
Insurance?
I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
Who do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See the jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces.
But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too?
Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance.
You mean that piece of cloth?
Come on, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So So you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe?
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do all that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then, before it was too late.
It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh yes! At last, you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the lever. There must have been a strong impact for it to have been left so clearly. You mean... It could not have been forged. It must have been authentic, conclusive evidence.
You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy.
What?
Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be?
You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person whom these fingerprints belong to are... Ema Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Ema. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Successfully.
You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along. And you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. Hold it! How could you? You monster! Miss Sky? You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?
Yes! Of course she does.
Cat not letting you use your tongue? Aren't you going... Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh, and what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? We're both terrible, okay? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you asked? It was Ema Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction?
Good job.
What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth. What could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth.
And what exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood in his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth... Wait, there's no blood on it.
Ah!
Good job. That was good.
Thank you.
You might want to record that still.
I'm available for weddings and bar mitzvahs.
Since Ema Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword.
No! This is nonsense!
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armorer's sword? Then, to make it look like Ema was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. Then he broke the jar on purpose to leave a clue, and made Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago, that you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. Insert scream here.
Indeed.
It's finished.
Objection! That was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see, that piece of cloth, is illegal evidence.
Order, order! What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Ajay? Earlier, old Wright over here concealed that piece of cloth.
Flashback, 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 flashback.
Flashback, flashback, always flashing back. Going to the past, gonna have ourselves a blast. Flashback.
The 80s are alive again.
To a prior point in time. It's all black and white.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, my voice has gone all weird.
Panic.
I've gone slightly Richard O'Brien.
Panic! Panic, Gant, panic.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
But that's not fair.
Do you actually think you can best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son.
Well, shouldn't he do that? I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Huh? Well, Mr. Wright? It seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed the piece of cloth? Certainly. I refused to present evidence at one point.
Aha! So the evidence is illegal.
No, it isn't, Mr. Gant.
Huh?
It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence that only appear in this case for some reason, but there we go.
No, Ajay! Don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward. You can't let him!
There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Shit, we have to present evidence. What's the only piece of evidence we've got that's about evidence? Kevin?
Evidence that's about evidence?
Yes.
Well, technically it's not evidence, actually.
No, we have to present evidence.
Oh, right, well, I was going to say, but it's not evidence in the case, but it is evidence law. Certainly.
Good job, bro. Yeah, seriously, it's a one-page book. It's like the best thing.
It's a pamphlet.
So anyway, boy zone. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law.
What's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more.
What?
You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case and trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? Well, What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. Thank you. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Flashback, flashback, please just like transplant the audio or something. Or just like transplant the entire bit and just like grayscale it.
You know, actually what I was thinking of doing was like, have you ever seen the film Clue?
I have seen the film Clue, but I can't remember anything.
Do you know the fact that they had the multiple endings?
I do remember that it has multiple
and
endings.
it was like, it could have been this, but in actuality it was like this. I was thinking of doing that.
So anyway, Kevin, as soon as I press this button, you've got to get ready to say a word.
One big word.
Yes. Maybe.
No!
That's not even the big screen. You're not gonna do that, we're just gonna let that play. Though.
No!
You can't get the timing right in that, unless you've seen the footage first.
No!
I'm sorry, Kevin, I'm sorry.
No!
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. No, seriously, hold off, just let it play. I'll let you watch that too, it's amazing.
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. The good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me.
Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman.
Detective Goodman?
Yeah, that's right.
If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me.
Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden, he had to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you do a different voice? Quickly?
Okay. What are you talking about, Goodman?
I know,
Can
but
you
I'm...
please reopen the investigation, Chief?
Good, I like that. Beep.
We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered.
I really like that, it's really good.
He told me to open up the evidence room and take it out. It's not too late. I'll hand this to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a little panicked too. I had a bad feeling about it, but never knew it would come to this. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out.
You would only increase the amount of blood and you couldn't finish what you started.
Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I was wiping it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my mistake.
Oh, it's me. Detective Gumshoe's bloody handprint.
I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it.
Then you put the body in my car?
I'm sorry. We couldn't think of any other way to move the body. We broke the trunk. What's the big deal? You pulled out a lot more than us detectives.
What does this have to do with anything? You're horrible. How could you get Miss Skye involved in all of this?
Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out.
So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker?
I feel bad for having to do it. I couldn't sit around and pick and choose what to take.
Well, you left the jar fragment and gloves.
Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well. Much to my dismay.
Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy. What are you doing in court?
Me?
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll need to figure out what's needed.
You will.
Well, it looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Ajay.
What?
Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Ajay. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. You see, if I listen carefully, I can hear it right now. Sound of a new beginning.
There are two things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant to help me forge evidence up till today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the Chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, not guilty. Yeah! Woo! Woo! That is all. The court is adjourned. It's gone long enough. Holy shit, it has. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. We're flashing back to like 2 seconds ago, that's really awkward.
Flashback, flashback, it's a really small flashback, cause we've got short-term memory issues.
You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Oh, I guess I am. I'll come back later. Ah, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making the detective run around while on duty? And to top it all off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago. Was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now I realise I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you are only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realise it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologise. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our path. And once we've found our path, we can move on from our past mistakes towards a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt looking at those two sisters make up. Mr. Wright? Mr. Gumshoe? Me? Thank you both for all you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't change my own mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth? Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. It's scary, but I've been thinking the same thing for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. That may be right, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence? That neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. That's the picture I drew! Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Ima's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth! What will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, what happened in this trial can either make or break you as a prosecutor. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better get going back too. Okay, I'll come visit you. It seems we both still have a lot to learn. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the Chief Prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective! I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I could afford with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? Huh? Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Since we're all here, why don't we go together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. And we may have hit an impasse, Kevin. Kevin?
Ah, I see.
Objection! It doesn't work. Objection! I can't press the button, Kevin, and that's where we're ending. Kevin, I'm serious, I can't do it.
Oh dear.
I completely hadn't realised that I couldn't do it. This is ridiculous. Objection! Objection! I want to object, but now she's just staring at me.
It's just a recording of what we would be recording anyway, so it's...
I'm gone.
I will do some very fancy editing at this point, which will make it all seem seamless, and there wouldn't have been a 10-minute issue.
I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Ema. She's a coroner. I think Ema will be pleased. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days in the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back into the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Ema. Aww. Just do lots of awws, okay?
Aww.
Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the Chief's office. If we penalized you any more, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. Just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Oh god, I've gotta remember voices, Kevin, help. Help!
Aww.
Feel bad for me, Kevin. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner is keeping an eye on the entrance for the day. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe. Meekins, you are a great man. I high five you. But I'm scared that you'll destroy my ears.
Aww.
He's a great guy. I like him. I can't do his voice for shit, and I got those lines wrong there. Oh dear. Yay! Yay! Yay!
I'm going to kill you.
Yay! It died, Kevin! Kevin, it died! No! No!
See?
No! No! I'm sad. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Starr managed to sneak this into me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina her smile back. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get the water? Well, Meekins is in charge of that. I'm worried now. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the lunch. The Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Thank you, Benjard. You gave us like the new Bionic Commando. Also, you voiced Phoenix. Think you didn't know, maybe. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be... oh no, I forgot my gavel! Sorry, I've got to go. That's great. Always good. Oh, guess who appears next, Kevin? Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing Nick and his objections. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-foot spirit medium. My afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick. Do, 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 do. Oh god, it's this guy. Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth? I brought you your tea. Hmm? What's going on? Dun dun dun. I said dun dun dun, Kevin.
Mysterious thing to follow up on at another time. Maybe, possibly, maybe.
Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but it'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Kevin, it's another bird book. Oh, they're so cute. You're so cute, Kevin, look.
I know. That's a nice way to end, isn't it?
It's so cute. It's like,
Happy
we could have done that
days.
5 minutes earlier if the microphone worked. So anyway, Capcom.
Capapcapams.
Capcom.
Capipicikadoos.
Capcom. Thank you, Mayoshi.
Also, don't forget that the Phoenix Wright trilogy is available right now on iOS.
Yes, it is.
Indeed. So look out for that. Look out for the upcoming, or is it already out? Phoenix Wright versus.
No,
Professor
Phoenix versus Layton versus Gyakutan. I will never call it Layton versus Ace Attorney because that just sounds silly. Layton versus Gyakutan is it's not out yet. No, it has been out in Asia and Japan, but it's not out over here for a few months or something.
Mm.
Well, but it will be out.
Who knows that? Who knows? We may see that in the future. Mainly just so that we can hear Kat's version of Luke.
It would be easier for me to just play Professor Layton.
Is that so, Professor?
Of course it's so.
I think you'll find there's a puzzle here.
You will always do both. You'll always have the ability to do a Professor Layton than me.
The puzzle is.
The puzzle is.
The puzzle is, how is Kat still up at this time of night? Let's say goodbye to everybody.
Yes. So that was Kev, and this is Kat. That was some kind of last minute continue. That was Rise from the Ashes, and in general, that was the first Phoenix Wright game.
Yep, hope you enjoyed the stream.
We hope it was fun hearing us mess up our cues and hearing me just fail at accents.
Indeed.
Yeah, so goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.